This is the World Privilege Podcast. The World Privilege Podcast, the home of great offers on everyday essentials. Save up to 85% on globally recognised brands.
My name is Patricia Pearce. I spent 39 years as cabin crew with BOAC and British Airways. And then whilst I was there, I started the children's charity Dreamflight. We take 192 seriously ill and disabled children to Orlando for 10 days with no parents.
You're listening to the World Privilege Podcast. Visit worldprivilegeplus.com.
So what is it that led you to creating Dreamflight? What inspired the concept of it?
It was really funny because for 3 years, British Airways did a flight for an hour every December for Christmas for underprivileged children. And I was on the crew for all 3 years. And the third year we went to Birmingham and we landed, and there were aircraft from, I think it was Glasgow, Edinburgh, Belfast, and that flew in. So we had 800 children. And we went to the Disney World Roadshow, was touring Europe at the time. So we went to the roadshow. And I was near the front I had 4 children in wheelchairs on the aircraft that I was in charge of. And it was watching their little faces when Mickey and Minnie come out holding hands saying, "Hey, it's a small world after all." Their little eyes were like saucers. And of course, that third year, I decided it takes a lot of ground staff to get that aircraft in the air, but they can't come on it. So I decided we'd have a little party with them back in the canteen when we got back Saturday afternoon. I managed to get the old videotape of the roadshow so that I could show it to them. So there's about nearly 100 ground staff involved because I just happened to have a boot full of beer and wine that I took in. I'd say having a few drinks, we're on a high, we've done something good, we put the video on, and then everybody started singing "It's a Small World After All." And somebody shouted out to me, "What are you going to do next year then, Pat?" And that throwaway line, I said, "We're going to Disney World itself." One statement. And of course, the phone was ringing. People say, "You are going to do it, you are going to do it." And I thought, oh my God, what have I let myself in for? I thought the idea was to do one. And that's 37 years exactly. That was the story of it, but I don't regret it.
Oh, no, of course. How has it changed or evolved since it first started?
It has changed a lot in a way. When you look back, that first year, we took 288 children. Can you imagine that all on one aircraft? And
no parents as well.
Parents, but just qualify that. I do take a very big team of doctors, nurses, physios, and other helpers to look after them, so the kids are well and their medications and treatments carry on when we're away. But to be fair, it was only 5 days. It was wham bam, come home, and it's developed. It's now 10 days, you see. Which means you've got one adult looking after 2 children, whereas I'd got one looking after 4. I don't have kids. I thought you put kids to bed at night and they got up in the morning, not realising a lot are on drips and all sorts of things. So, and I have a night shift as well. So that's how it's mainly involved, yeah.
So what has been like the most significant impact to taking? Is it around 6,000 children now that have been?
That's 300, yeah.
Yeah. Like what has been the most significant impact for you as the founder?
I think what I just thought when I had this ridiculous idea that it was just giving them a holiday, and it struck me quite heavily that they don't learn from us adults, they learn from each other, and they see somebody else doing something, and whereas they thought they couldn't do it, they think maybe I can. That's what I gained, Rose. And last trip we had one boy with a prosthetic leg, and in the heat the stump of his leg had swollen up. So you get back and the leg comes off and it's in the middle of the dining room table. I mean, that's nothing new on Dreamflight.
Yeah.
And I walked past his table, but the little boy sitting next to him said, "Well, I don't know why I got chosen to come. I've only got cancer." And I thought, I think any kid going through any treatments like that or anything, they deserve a little treat in life. They haven't asked for it.
What have been some of the like key challenges, especially in the early days of Dreamflight? Like, how did you overcome that? So you're saying you've got like physios, nurses, doctors, people that come on the flights with you. What were some of the challenges of that, especially when you first started?
I think the challenge was I'm not medically trained and I don't have kids. So while I was doing this, I've got no idea. And we cover from Scotland right down to Cornwall and the whole country. So I got the help of a paediatrician at Stoke Mandeville Hospital, which is not far from where I live. And I went to him for some advice. And he helped me by putting in the medical magazines that we were looking for volunteers. So that's how we started. Now we don't have to do that because it's so well known and people in professions, they can't come, but they recommend another doctor. Or it's 37 years, it's built up its own little network, shall I say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the hardest. And then realizing, I think that there were too many. And now we've got a small aircraft. We couldn't take that number anyway. So, yeah. So the first bit was to ask British Airways if I could charter an aeroplane.
What would you say have been like the best strategies for getting this support for Dreamflight, like £1 million annually? Like, how have you come up with the strategies to gain the support? Yeah,
there's £1.5 million a year now. Oh, I think when I started off, I had no idea that I was allowed to write a little article for the British Airways News that went out to all the staff. And so I think that's where I started off, where the British Airways staff were supporting me, going out fundraising. And then I'd arrive on a trip in Sydney and the ground staff would meet me with an envelope with a load of money in it. And things like that's how it started. And then we have some non-medical places on the trip, and people have to show a lot of interest and help or raise money to earn their place. The doctor's places I need, but the others that have to earn their place. But even now, what's happened, I've split the country into 12 areas, and they all have a little group name. And now they get together in their areas and they fundraise as a group. And then one group's trying to outdo the other group how much they've raised. We don't have any big major sponsors at all. It's all done by, mainly by people giving or going out. I think I want adults to have fun. So if you want to run a marathon, you do it, but you get sponsorship. So you do what you want, but you're getting sponsorship. So it's great. The adults are having fun. And the kids get a holiday. So
everyone wins.
Full circle,
You're listening to the World Privilege Podcast, the home of unbeatable offers on everyday savings. Enjoying today's episode? Check out our other podcasts at worldprivilegeplus.com or find us on social media. Back to the podcast.
How is it that you select the children who participate in Dreamflight? I know you can nominate kids as well. So what is the sort of process of selecting the kids that do get to go on these trips?
Yeah, then we have a nomination process, and a nomination form is filled in, which is now done online. That shows you how much we've changed in 37 years with technology. We do ask generally a medical person to put the nomination in. So say somebody like surgery, or get a medical person to put the form in. Because originally parents were filling them in, and I totally get it. But they were economical with the truth because of what was wrong with them, because they wanted us to take the child. I get that. But what they didn't realize is we can cope with a lot more than a family going on holiday could, because of all the medical backup that I've got and equipment that we take with us, or we've got great relationships with the hospitals over there. So we can cope with more. So I think, so the nomination forms come in. Just to explain each group has a group leader in charge. Then it has a doctor, 3 nurses, a physio, and 3 non-medics in each group. And so the doctor in each group will go through the initial nominations for their area and sift out a few that think they definitely we couldn't manage, And then our medical director, and also a volunteer, they're all volunteers, he has the final say who is actually So it's quite a thing. We want to make sure we're looking after those children properly.
Talking a bit about your experience with flying with British Airways, what are some of your like favourite moments from flying?
What stands out the most was 2 months flying with the Queen. And that was just fantastic. And we finished the trip on the last night in the Philippines, and we were invited on the Royal Yacht Britannia. So that part of my career for 2 months.
Yeah.
And I've been extremely lucky in my life that I've carried most of the royals now, or met most of the royals in my time. So, but I loved every minute of it. I wanted to do it from 9 years old because I literally watched the aircraft going over. My dad said, "Why do you want to be a flying waitress?" He didn't agree with it, but anyway, I went ahead. And of course, I've been flying a year, and I got my travel, and I took my mother to Barbados. They'd never been any further than Spain.
Yeah.
And as we taxied in, he could see the wind outside. The palm trees were blowing in the wind. And as we stepped out on the steps to go down, but he looked at me, he said, "But it's warm wind." All he'd ever known was the cold winds.
The awful weather here.
So, no, lovely moments of my flying career. I mean, why get a proper job when you can see the world for free, stay in first class hotels, meet wonderful people.
Exactly.
And that's why I stayed there for 39 years. And I'm very lucky because I'm still very involved with the airline and crew because of Dreamflight. In fact, I was down at the head office yesterday. We were doing some bits. So I said to the CEO recently, I said, "I don't feel as if I've left you, just don't pay me anymore."
How would you say that, flying with British Airways has changed your approach with Dreamflight, or how has that influenced how you run Dreamflight?
With BA, you go through the ranks to just, second steward, first steward. Then you get, this is back in the days, chief steward, then purser, then CST. So you went through a sort of structure, and you were learning in each. And like when you got in charge of the aircraft, the buck stopped at you, like when there were big delays and things. So I think you learn how to manage things, I think. You've got a difficult passenger or something like that. You learn how to do it. And I used to say to youngsters, don't lose your temper. Keep smiling whatever you do. My favourite one was to say, I had a passenger that was really difficult, and he asked to see the CSD, and I went down. He was expecting a man. Forget what the problem was. I literally couldn't do anything. We were full up. And in the end, I asked him to stand up, and I sat in his seat. And I said, "You are now me. Would you give me the answer to this problem?"
Yeah.
Oh. Well, last time they gave me a free trip. I just smiled at him and said, "Would you like your seat back?" And I walked off to the clapping from all the passengers, and he felt stupid. But I'd not lost my temper. I smiled at him. I think you learn how to handle situation. I mean, that was just one thing. It teaches you a lot. What worries you now, they're in charge of an aircraft after almost a year, and they've left the age limit to 18, which I think some have actually come out of school and they have no life experience.
Yeah.
I think, flying teaches you a lot. Yeah.
Has been a particular story of a child who has been with Dreamflight that stands out to you? I know on the website I was reading quite a few stories of the kids that have been. Is there one that particularly stands out for you?
There's two or three. There's one young lad who, Aidan, he's now a professional golfer in golfing. Natasha Baker, who's dressage, she's got gold, silver, bronze in the Olympics. So there's, but you know what? Funny enough, only a week ago, I received a text message and it just said, "Dear Auntie Pat, I just thought you'd like to know, I've just got a first class honours degree in law." And she said it was you that pushed me to go and do things when I came on Dreamflight in 2016. So she said, "Thank you for that." Well, for me, it's giving the children, said for each other, they learn because they sometimes think they're the odd one out. Something wrong with them. You've got a child in a wheelchair in a normal class. But if you've got 192 children all on one aircraft, something wrong with every single one in some way, teaching them that to believe in themselves, that they can, despite whatever their disability is, they can go on to achieve.
Mhm.
That's what I want to do.
Amazing. What was it like carrying the Olympic torch in 2012? Can you talk to me a bit about that? Oh my God, you've got it. Oh my God.
I read your question and I thought, I'll have that, please.
Where do you keep that? I hope you...
It has a little stand on a stand. I keep it in the corner of the room. Very, very lucky. I carried it down the steps to Blenheim Palace, ran right down from Blenheim. Funny, because standing on the steps, the Duke of Bedford was there. There's nothing on there, the old Duke of Bedford. And I'm standing there because you have your torch, and then the person coming up to you bends over and lights your torch. And then so I'm standing there with my torch. He said, "Can I hold it?" Yeah, you are. But no, that was something really special. It was because of Dreamflight that I got chosen to do it. It was a special day. Yeah, I loved it.
I can imagine. And how was receiving an MBE, and how was that influence? Have you got that as well?
Got that to show you. Yeah, you see, I did do my homework, you see.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Again, where do you keep that next to your Olympic torch, or do you keep that?
It's on the table over there. In fact, I never open it up. But I tell you what, I was watching the Queen's funeral. I suddenly went and got this, but I touched it, because I don't open it up that often. And I touched it, and I thought the Queen had her hands on that.
Oh, yeah.
It suddenly meant that much more to me, because I thought nobody else is going to get one from her, are they?
Yeah.
But that was a really, really special day. Yeah, and my brother and sister-in-law flew up from Australia and came with my mum, so that got us all together for a few days as well, which is lovely. And I think it's good for the charity in a sense, because if somebody looks it up and they look who founded it and things like that, and they see MBE, they see you've been recognised for it. I think it gives the charity a bit of kudos if it has been recognised. It's not me, it's the charity that's been recognised. Very special.
If you are enjoying today's episode, then check out our brand new Elevate magazine. Our online magazine is free and tailored to you, with exclusive stories, insider features and smart lifestyle picks from the people who make World Privilege Plus what it is, our members and our partners. Check it out today by heading to elevate.worldprivilegeplus.com or click the link on our homepage.
Just touching on again, I know you were saying that you've been in contact with people recently, like Graham Law. So how is it the Dreamflight participants? How do you maintain the relationship?
I think mainly through Facebook, I think. Social media is good and bad. And if it's used properly, it's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and we have like a Dreamflight page. We have a Dreamflight USA page because we have a big following over there. Have a lot of American helpers, you see. And so a lot of it comes through that. And then sometimes I go to events like Aidan does a golf day and I will go. So, because you end up with their emails and their telephone numbers and things like that. So, but I would say the general one is through Facebook. Or they would contact the office and say, "Can you ask Pat to do this?" Or they want me to go to something. Or the other thing is they quite often, if they raise money, they want you to go receive the check. And although I've got office staff now, I didn't initially. It was on the kitchen table at home.
Yeah.
But even my girls in the office, they say, if somebody wants to give a check, they want to give it to you, Pat, not one of us that's paid to work here. So it's not a big office. I've only got, 5? So at least it gives me a bit of retirement now so I can go on a cruise.
Yeah. What have been some of the biggest lessons you've learned over your career?
The biggest lessons, I think you learn you've got to plan and plan ahead. And that when you think about it, nothing's impossible, which is what I try to tell the children. And where we've gone now to what we learned because of COVID, some good did come out of that awful period.
Yeah.
Because we obviously couldn't go to Orlando. We thought outside the box and we found another charity called the Calvert Trust that has holiday camp for disabled people down in Exmouth. And it takes about 50 people. So we booked the whole place out. And we took 25 kids and then all their same principal, doctors, nurses, physios, non-medics. And it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, they've got like a zip wire that's got a wheelchair fitted to it. So a child in a wheelchair could sit in it and do the zip wire. And yeah, lots of things like that they could do. And it was a slightly older age group too that we took, because what had happened the first year of COVID, we'd chosen the children, but they didn't know, but then we didn't go. So we rolled those names over to the next year. Then we didn't go again. So we rolled again. So we're coming out above the age limit. What that is 8 to 14, you see. So some of them are now 15, 16, you know, they were 14. And so we found that older age group worked in the UK, because in the evening they had a sports room upstairs. They were organising their own little tournaments at table tennis and snooker, and we just sat and watched them and let them. Mm-hmm. And so that's been so successful. And the Calvert Trust, bless them, had been closed for 2 years with no money coming in at all. I think it costs us something like 46,000 to book the whole place out. So we've now promised them that every March, that we will come every March. So we did help them to get back. And they've also got a place in the Lake District. So we're now doing there for the children from Scotland, don't have to come all the way down. That's where we've gone on from there. And that's what I've learned from it, that you kind of, the office staff and that and the other trustees have not quite gone along with the idea that I think we should go on a Disney cruise, but for my cruising, you know.
You never know.
That's with Dreamflight. You never know where it will go. I didn't expect it. It was BA reunion, and the chief pilot, or the old chief pilot, was there. He flew the first one, and he said to me, I'm probably going to tell you some things you didn't know. He said that when you went to Colin Marshall, the board thought I got this harebrained idea, and they didn't want to support it at all. And he said, Colin Marshall then said, I'm going to put my faith in her. And it was because of him, and sadly he's not with us anymore, because I would love to have gone and said thank you. He put faith in me that I could do it, you know. And he said I heard he liked the way I went and did things. And so the chief pilot said to him, I will fly it then. He offered to fly it. So now they fight over who wants to fly it.
They're fighting over you now.
The crew that come with it, they've all earned their place, and they stay with us for the 10 days. Yeah. They get allocated to a group, and then they're there for that group. So BA are very good, because they have to fly a crew out to bring the aeroplane back, and then to bring it back empty. Yeah. And can't leave a 350 aircraft sitting around for 10 days.
Yeah, definitely.
And they do support us, but there's one thing, and I don't know if you're going to ask me this, but a lot of people think BA pay for the aeroplane. And they don't pay for it, and I want to pay for it, because it's then ours. If the company paid for it, it would then become theirs, wouldn't it, and not ours. And we have fun fundraising anyway. Yeah. But they are so helpful. They always make sure that the aeroplane's there. We use the hangar to depart from. The kids march out behind the RAF Junior Marching Band, march them to the aeroplane. So it's a big send-off. So
wow.
Everybody wants to do their bit and get involved, which is really lovely.
Yeah, definitely. For someone that's looking to start a charity, what advice would you give? What is your biggest piece of advice?
I think if you're starting one now, I think I was lucky in those days. I think there are more restrictions. But if you're thinking of it, look at the Charities Commission, because you really do need to get registered, get a number from the Charities Commission, and they regulate an awful lot. So I would say, which I didn't have to do in those days, but I would say get in touch with them, get some advice from them, and things you can and can't do. It's like, you know, I can't add 2 and 2 together, so I get somebody in who can do accounts and things like that. You've got to have people around. Somebody once said to me, and in fact, she's a television presenter, and I knew her husband. He was a photographer that was involved in Dreamflight. And I went for dinner with them one night, and she said to me, just get people around you that haven't got your skills. She says, there's no point in, or either volunteer or an employee that's got the same skills as you, because you've got them, get skills you haven't got. So I would say that is just think what you want to do, and then go to the Charities Commission, and then also think, what do I need to put around me in place? Because, you know, things have changed over 37 years. So.
Yeah. And you learn a lot along the way as well.
You do. I mean, now we have all the forms to be completed, DBS checks and all things like that, which you have to get visas for everybody into states now. You don't. They go in on visa waiver. But I suppose the work is still there. It sometimes gets moved around to different things. Yeah. But I'd always say to somebody, if you want to do it, do your homework and then good luck.
Would you say that the website and the Facebook page more about Dreamflight, or get involved, or is there anything else?
Definitely go. Yeah, definitely go on the website and have a look at what we do. Even if it's fundraising or volunteering or anything like that, the website does give that. And then if you want to go further with that, you can then either email or phone the office, which is manned every day. So, which, of course, you see, when I started, I was still flying. So I'd be away on a 21-day trip sometimes. And email in those days, remember, all I had was an answer phone, you know, at home. And of course, if somebody put a message on there just after I'd gone away, they want to fundraise. And I never got back to them because I was the other side of the world. By the time I got back, phoned them, they decided on another charity. So things like that, you have to factor in when you're doing something like that, which I haven't, you see. And then after 6 years, I eventually thought I needed to employ. So I had a part-time secretary for a while, and then it's developed, and with more regulations coming in, you got to submit accounts to Charities Commission once a year, proper accounts, and they have to be audited. So there's a lot of boring stuff that goes on, and which I don't do, I admit, but then I've got the people around me that do it, you know. But that's advice for somebody starting up, yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Oh, no, it's been an absolute pleasure.
I really love learning your story and everything. It's really amazing what you've done.
No, I'm thanking you for sort of wanting to, get Dreamflight out there. I do appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the World Privilege Podcast, the home of great offers on everyday essentials. To start making some great savings now, visit worldprivilegeplus.com.